a lot of physicians like to use. So we will just choose the appropriate sound system, and at this point we will just go ahead and click on next. And then the next screen that we're gonna get is, it reminds us to position our microphone properly. Now, the importance of positioning the microphone is it affects accuracy. So it gives us good dictation accuracy if we use it in a constant manner. So this is an example of that dictaphone microphone that I was telling about earlier. So that's, you would usually want to position it about 3 inches away if you're using this type of microphone. The best distance is about 3 inches away, and it's a little bit on the side, as you can see. The lady in the picture, that would be the best position to use when you're using a dictaphone mic. Now, if you're using a headset, it's pretty much the same principle. It's about 3 inches away from your mouth with a mouthpiece. And if they're using one of those stand-up mics, which usually is not recommended, but I see a lot of practices and even doctors using it. I just try to remind them that if they're using a stand-up mic, to make sure that they place it on the same spot as much as possible. Like if they feel comfortable putting it on the left side of the keyboard, make sure to just place it on that spot. That way, you know Dragon will have a consistency of where the voice is actually coming from, because if you move it from left to right, then it may affect the accuracy of the dictation that or the transcription that it's actually trying to record. Does anybody have any questions so far at this point? Okay, I guess so good. All right, I will take that as a no, and we'll go ahead and continue. So I get like what I said, the microphone and the headset, it has to be set up correctly, and this is the number one cause of poor transcription accuracy. Handheld microphone preferences can be set up using the options from the Dragon bar, which we will be discussing as we go along. Now, a couple of tips that I wanted to run down, and I think I've mentioned some of them already previously, is to point the microphone element to the side of your elbow or your mouth to avoid noise from breathing. And make sure that the microphone element, like what I said, is about 1 to 3 inches away from your mouth. And hold the microphone so that the front points toward your mouth, and don't talk into the side of the microphone if you're using one of those handheld microphones. Hold the microphone consistently every time you use it, which is the same scenario where I explained. If they're using a stand-up, they have to put it on the left-hand side always, and not switch it from left, right hand side of the keyboard. And we have to be careful not to move the microphone or your head suddenly when using Dragon. And like this last one, sort of like contradicts. I know we probably see this a lot, and MFA and AMGs do not use a microphone stand, but that's what they procured for all of the clinics. So usually that's not a good uh, way of using Dragon, is using a microphone stand. It's actually better to use the handheld dictaphones, or a headset. But that's what they have, so we try to make it work, and so far it does a good job of. From my observation, it does a good job of capturing or recognizing the voices of those providers that are using a microphone stand. Now, the next part after we click on that next button, going back to that new wizard screen, is the wizard will prompt us to read a paragraph of text to determine your volume. So basically, we are going to click on that start volume check, and basically we will need to read this paragraph where it says, in this step the computer listens to the sound of your voice, and it's automatically going to stop. It will say finished, and it will just make sure to check the volume of your mic that it's recognizing it properly. And after that, we're going to go ahead and click on next to continue. We are again going to be prompted to read the same paragraph, but this time it's going to check the quality of our system, the sound of your system. So again, we're gonna click on Start Quality Check on the Start Quality Check button right here, and then we are going to read this paragraph. In this step, the computer checks the audio input from your sound system, so we're going to have the provider read that, of course, and it will automatically stop, and it will give us, the speech to noise ratio. Basically, what we need to look at here is audio quality check passed. If it passed, then we can go ahead and click on next. And after that, after setting up our sound options, we will be prompted to train Dragon to learn your speaking style. So Dragon does this after we create the user profile. So this is how exactly it will look like. It will give us this screen, and basically we need to click on go and start reading on whatever phrases and sentences that are being shown on the screen. So after we click on go, we're going to say welcome to general training. It will continue on. A series of phrases, sentences, and words will be shown, and we'll just need to continue reading all of those phrases. Basically, what Dragon is doing is on the background as we are actually reading it. It is trying to capture or get a good sense of our speech patterns. So basically, once we get to this step, we'll just continue to read all of the sentences and phrases that are given to us until we get into the finish. The end of the sentences or the lines that are being given to us. Now, after we're done reading that initial training part, we will get to the new user wizard. Will train Dragon, and we will be asked to choose a text to read. So these are the usual options. These are the standard options that we have. It's basically sort of like a literary option. Now, what we usually get in the field is usually there is a medical option that is available. So I usually recommend that we choose the option, the text where it says medical reports. It will say something like harder reading, and it will say something that has something to do with medical. The reason that we like to choose that is because we're working with providers. We want to make sure that they're reading something that's medically related, because they're going to be using a lot of medical terms anyways when they are dictating on their notes. So once you have chosen the text that you would like to read, we are going to go ahead and click on next. And basically, we're actually skipping a portion here, but what it is that it's just going to give us a series of paragraphs on that part, and we will just ask the provider, or you can do this yourselves if you want to try to do this later at your own time. It will basically ask you to read a series of paragraphs, and again, Dragon is just trying to capture your voice and recognize your voice so that it can transcribe your dictation or your voice accurately. So once that's done, once we've completed that, and like what I've said, this first step that we just talked about takes about anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. So like what I've said, users or providers have to have at least 20 minutes to half an hour to devote to initially setting up Dragon, and usually it pays off because they're happy that they're able to dictate portions of their notes, and therefore being able to complete their notes in a faster and efficient manner. Now, once we're done with the initial uh, dictations or initial training for Dragon, we will get this screen where it basically will ask us to adapt Dragon medical to your writing style. So what it is it will try, if they have email like Outlook or Outlook Express or Lotus Notes installed, and if they use Microsoft Word or any documents that are installed in your computer, or are saved in your computer, it sort of like mines and searches all these documents. And the reason why Dragon is doing this is because if you come to think of it, most people's writing styles pretty much mimic their speech or their dictation styles. So by Dragon doing this, it makes it more accurate, or it's another step that makes Dragon recognize your speech patterns because they usually are similar to your writing patterns. It will make your voice recognition more accurate if you take this step. It says here adapting your writing style can take anywhere between 5 to 30 minutes. This is if you have a lot of Word files or a lot of documents and email saved in your system. It can in fact take 30 minutes. But in my experience, like in the case of MFA and AMG, when they go live, most of their computers are new anyways, and they're not loaded yet with email, or they don't have Microsoft Word documents there. It takes less than a minute to do this step uh, at this point. Now this is a recommended step. Of course, you can skip this step. And whenever I try this with MFA and AMG, even if I start, it's sort of like skipping this step because there's really nothing to search as far as email and documents are concerned. Okay, but this is a recommended step. If we work with other clients, they might be using their laptops or their computers, for a long time. They probably have some sort of template save. This is usually beneficial to do this step. Okay, so once we have started this, we can click on next, and whether you click on skip step, you will have the next option. It will lead us to the next screen. So the next screen is after you've finished reading Dragon, it will save all of the changes to the user profile, and we're pretty much ready to start dictating. Now it will ask us to start a tutorial. Now these are very basic tutorials that it can be cumbersome. And again, this takes another probably 20 minutes to learn it. What I usually recommend is, if we're working with physicians, they don't need to learn all the tutorial. This is only if they have time to learn the tutorial. I recommend that they start the tutorial for first time users. However, I know I did include a cheat sheet, and we're gonna try, or I'm gonna try to create a more condensed cheat sheet that only pertains to the most commonly used commands by providers, and it's usually 10, not even more than 15 commands that they use most of the time. A lot of it just has to do with them being able to write on their notes pretty much directly. So if they want to skip that tutorial, you can choose that option, begin dictating. And usually when I work with the MFA and AMG providers, we just skip that tutorial because a lot of it, like what I've said, can be cumbersome for them because a lot of it may not be applicable for them. So we just go ahead and click on begin dictating and click on finish to close the wizard. Now, we're going to be talking about formatting options. Basically, the formatting dialog box, these are just additional formatting options that we can do. We don't have to do this always, but I just wanted to show you, what types of formatting we can do. So the formatting dialog box allows us or users to turn on different forms like automatic numbers and word formatting for abbreviations, contractions, dates, and numbers. Now, usually what I recommend is I don't usually recommend turning on the automatically add commas and periods if you see it here towards the bottom of this formatting window. The reason for that is because the tendency is if the user tends to pause a lot, Dragon will automatically read that as a period or even a comma in certain cases. So it depends on their speaking style, and in most cases, doctors will pause, a lot the first couple of times. So I don't usually recommend turning on automatically add commas and periods. The thing to remember though is if you don't have that option turned on is doctors have to remember to say period or comma whenever they